being responsible with your coverage. I appreciate that. I mean,
bankrupt man.
I'm trying my best. Astrolates. Thanks for the Prime Gaming. I appreciate that. We put on some music. Calm the nerves. Okay. So Zelensky, I think we had like a Zelensky speech somewhere at some point. Okay, there is one thing I really want to cover, okay? And that one thing I really want to cover before the UN Security Council meeting is Donald Trump's comments on the situation. Because, you know, Donald Trump could have won the last election, you know? He could have. If he did, he would be the person managing this crisis. And he had some comments on the situation that I wanted to share with you all. Some absolutely deluded, delusional, insane comments. Okay. Genius. Savvy. Trump reacts to Putin's invasion of Ukraine exactly as you'd expect. We'll read a little bit of it, of this article on it, then we'll actually listen to it ourselves so we don't have to listen to somebody else interpret it. Those clamoring for former President Donald Trump's voice in their social media feed can turn to Liz Harrington, once an attorney for the Republican National Committee and now spokesperson for him. Until Trump's own social media platform is actually running, Harrington's Twitter feed is the best immediate source for the various Twitter-esque riffs and links that Trump puts out through his political action committee several times a day. So, for one can learn from Harrington on Tuesday morning that Trump would be making an appearance on a right-wing radio program. And then a few hours later, you could hear part of the discussion yourself, dutifully shared by Harrington. For example, you could hear how Trump replied when the show's host asked him about President Biden's response to the Russian President Vladimir Putin sending military forces into Ukraine. In the last 24 hours, we know Russia had said that they are recognizing 2 breakaway regions of Ukraine. And now, this White House is stating that this is an invasion. That's a strong word. What went wrong here? What has the current occupant of the Oval Office done that he could have done differently? By the way, this question assumes that Putin, it heavily implies that Biden is in some way, but whatever. Anyway, then Trump responds, well, what went wrong was a rigged election, Trump said, once again misrepresenting the results. Misrepresenting, very generous word there, by the way. Misrepresenting, very generous word. The correct word is lying. He's lying about the results of the election because he's a liar and he can't deal with the fact that he lost. And so he's going to take a conflict that could be about to kill thousands of people and have already killed Ukrainian servicemen, civilians, rebels, and all these people. He's going to use it to continue to push this lie because he's an maniacal, not lovely person. One second. I think someone just knocked on my door. I'll be right back. It was Kat. She gave me a gift. Look, it's a scarf. Isn't that nice? Isn't that so nice of her? We have a scarf now. There's a scarf stream. Okay. It certainly is a gesture. What a weird way to talk about somebody giving me a gift. It certainly is a gesture. Yeah, it's a gesture of affection. That's how gifts work. Okay, let's keep going. What went wrong is a candidate that shouldn't be there and a man that has no concept of what he's Trump said doing, actually, but Harrington clip cut him off a little bit too early. That's probably because of what Trump said next. Now, what's interesting here, right? Liz Harrington is a huge supporter of Donald Trump. And Liz Harrington plays this much of the clip, and we'll let it play here. And then I'm going to play the clip in full because I posted the clip in full.
I say 10 million. You look at inflation, you look at all of the different things that are happening so bad for our country, the border.
Who could forget the border? The millions of people, not 2 million or 1 million like they say. I say 10 million. Millions of people are bum rushing our country. And many of these people come from prisons. They're being let out. Countries, 127 countries now they have. But many of these countries are emptying their prisons like we're a dumping ground right into our country. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think our country has ever been so low. You could take the 5 worst presidents in the history of our country and put them together. I don't think they've done the damage that this administration has done.
Mr. President.
To be clear, certain presidents helped certify Jim Crow and walk back Reconstruction. But okay.
In the last 24 hours, we know Russia has said that they are recognizing 2 breakaway regions of Ukraine. And now this White House is stating that this is an invasion. That's a strong word. What went wrong here? What has the current occupant of the Oval Office done that he could have done differently?
Well, what went wrong was a rigged election. And what went wrong is a candidate that shouldn't be there and a man that has no concept of what he's doing.
So what's interesting here is Liz Harrington, again, huge supporter of the president, helps the president. You get the idea, right? That clip alone, in my opinion, doesn't make the president look good. Because when given an opportunity to talk about a geopolitical conflict, the first thing he does is use it to promote this idea that he actually won the election. It was rigged against him. He uses it to fluff his own ego and to continue to lie about our election and undermine people's belief in our democracy, right? Now that clip alone is bad for those reasons and more, right? We could get into the deep consequences of him undermining that belief in democracy and the security of our elections. We could talk about how if a democracy can't function, if out of 2 major parties, one of them can't accept an L, we could get into all of that. But that's not even the full clip. I'm about to play you the full clip because I have the full clip. Here's the part she left out.
24 hours, we know Russia has said that they are recognizing 2 breakaway regions of Ukraine. And now
said, oh, 1 second.
Ukraine. And now this White House is stating that this is an invasion. That's a strong word. What went wrong here? What has the current occupant of the Oval Office done that he could have done differently?
Well, what went wrong was a rigged election. And what went wrong is a candidate that shouldn't be there and a man that has no concept of what he's doing. I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius. Putin declares a big portion of the Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. That's the strongest peace force I've ever seen. There were more army tanks than I've ever seen. They're going to keep peace all right. No, but think of it. Here's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well, very, very well. By the way, this never would have happened with us.
So, on top of all the problems I've already laid out about Trump going after our democracy, once given the opportunity to talk about this issue, which, by the way, Trump thinks he's strong on this issue because he pushes the idea that Hunter Biden actually undermines Biden's ability to do work in Ukraine and good diplomacy with Ukraine, etc. So this is actually an issue he believes he's strong on. Once given the opportunity to talk about this geopolitical crisis, he A, makes it about himself and him losing the election and saying that it was stolen. And then they cut it off there. But then he goes into a long rant about how genius and smart and brilliant Putin's move here was. Instead of moving to obviously condemn it. Instead of moving to talk about how bad it was. Instead, he talks about the brilliant genius of Putin. It's almost like he's fawning over him. It's almost like he is fawning over the man. When the person is currently invading a separate, independent, democratic country that's generally aligned with us. That Donald Trump sold himself as somebody who could be stronger on this because he said that the Bidens are compromised on Ukraine due to Hunter Biden and being on the board of that company. He sells the idea that the Biden family is compromised on this while he's saying stuff like this. Absolutely mind-boggling. Also, really love the statement of, he called them peacekeepers. I would love some of them on our southern border. Just straight up just deploy a military on our southern border. Just deploy, we're not even talking about the Wagner group, their ties to the neo-Nazis, and then, oh my God. We're not even going to get into the complexities of it, because I doubt Trump even conceived of the complexities of it. Let's finish the statement. Let's listen to the rest of it.
Had I been in office, not even thinkable. This would never have happened. But here's a guy that says, I'm going to
He says this never would have happened during his time in office. Never would have happened.
Declare a big portion of Ukraine independent. He used the word independent. And we're going to go out and we're going to go in and we're going to help keep peace. You got to say that's pretty savvy. And you know what?
Again, he jumps to a second. It almost looks like he might condemn it. Like, that wouldn't have happened during my time. He's sliding towards it. He's like, oh, maybe he's going to come out, really against it and, lambast Putin then. And then he goes straight back, just straight back around it's like he slowly, started to get back on the road and just swerved right off of it into a tree directly.
Response was from Biden? There was no response. They didn't have one for that.
So in his rant about the situation where Vladimir Putin is invading Ukraine, during Trump's rant about that, he complains about the election being stolen from him, Joe Biden, and fawns over Putin's genius move here. Even though, let me just say, there's a lot of analysts, and I'm starting to believe this more and more, that Putin kind of stumbled into the situation. I believe this for a few reasons. Honestly, that report from the Moscow Times talking about the conditions that Russian troops are living in right now, a lot of the low quality effort put into many of these false flag attempts, maybe he really did believe that these negotiating tactic would be more effective. Anyway, but what I want to get at here is Trump, I believe, fundamentally, has a love for authoritarianism. I do genuinely believe that Donald Trump has a love for authoritarianism. By nature, in his character, he loves authoritarianism. Not only by the way he does business personally, but by the way he conducted himself while in office. Criticizing people like Hillary Clinton for security when it comes to her emails, while stealing classified documents to bring them to Mar-a-Lago, while having his lawyers literally, and I'm not joking, I made a video about this on my channel if you want to go check it out, having his lawyers literally write up instructions for a coup, literally writing up executive orders in order to seize voting machines and buy him time in office into February, using federalized National Guard troops to seize voting machines, using the military to steal our democracy. Rudy Giuliani's plot to submit fake electors and just completely falsify documents to the National Archives in order to steal the election. Not to mention him saying in advance of the election, if we lose the election, it's rigged. He can't even accept the idea of a loss. Again, democracy does not work if you cannot accept a loss in an election. If there's two people running for office and one of them will never accept defeat, how is democracy going to work there if that person loses? Or, God forsaken, if that person wins. This was a slam dunk question for him. Trump could have simply condemned the invasion, talked about how it was bad, criticized Biden, and moved on. But instead, he made it about himself. He made it about a democracy. And then he fawned over Putin like a puppy. Here it is. Thank you, chat. Let's play it. I'm still sharing screens, right?
Sure. Yep.
Continue to monitor his statements. We'll go back to President Trump for a quick reaction. We had a kind of a really pathetic display from the Ukrainian President Zelensky earlier today, President Trump, where he, in Russian, he doesn't like to speak Russian, but in Russian, he was essentially imploring Vladimir Putin not to invade his country.
Can I just say how much I think Lauren Ingram is a piece of shit? And fuck her for saying that. Sorry, I don't even want to address it. We'll just keep going, okay?
And now we basically have the Ukrainian ambassador to the United Nations looking like a defeated man. Your final reaction?
Well, I think the whole thing, again, would have never happened. It shouldn't happen. And it's a very sad thing. But you know what's also very dangerous is you told me about the amphibious attack by Americans. You shouldn't be saying that because you and everybody else shouldn't know about it. They should do that secretly, not be doing that through the great Laura Ingram. They should be doing that secretly. Nobody should know that, Laura. And
oh my God. He really has zero idea what's going on. He just hears something and then he just consumes the info and he just repeats it just with no idea of whether it's true or not. Just regurgitated it upon impact onto his brain. He misheard something and is now repeating it on one of the largest news networks on the planet, on one of the most popular news shows on the planet, to possibly millions of people as people tune in to hear about what's going on in Ukraine.
And you know,
no, that was the Russian. Those are the Russian amphibious landing.
No, I thought you said that. I thought you said that we were sending people in.
No, okay. I did not. No. That would be news. That would be news.
All, and you know what? Hey, that's all we need. That'll be next. Okay. Now we ought to protect our own borders. You know, we ought to get to the southern border and start protecting.
And now he fucking pivots the southern border. This is the second time I've seen in the last 2 days where he's used the conflict in Ukraine and the people dying in this conflict to pivot to our southern border. I don't know why he keeps doing it, but he just keeps doing it. The Rightful Snake, thank you so much for the Prime Gaming. Wait, is this real? Yes, that was real. This was a real clip from Fox News, yes. I've seen this posted a few places. My God. So what do you think about that, Stoic? What do you think about our former Commander-in-Chief's handle on the situation?
Can't believe you guys chose Trump over Hillary Clinton. What the hell, people?
You really like Hillary, don't you?
I mean, okay. I know people. There's some Bernie Sanders, but I don't want to go too much into that. But holy moly, that comment right there! I can't believe he was president. He was president for 4 years. Wow.
Yeah, he was president for 4 years. Sadly, and could, if he wins again, be president for 4 more. And if he gets his way, maybe a lot more than that.
Americans, just vote the Democrats, please. Don't vote Trump, please.
Very, very fun time over here.